I don't ever gravitate towards art for answers, you know. I always want to come away with something with more questions. If you can make an image that draws somebody in and they're like, how did somebody make this? What is this? It goes back to, like, you know, that it being a gateway to something. I think that's like a really important part of like how I developed as an artist and a, you know, musician, and just like it's like these little doors that you are able to open up and they lead off, you know, to like a pathway that just keeps forking off in different directions. My name is Robert Beatty. I am 33 years old. I've lived in Kentucky my entire life, and like I still think it's the most beautiful place in the world. There's nothing, like nowhere else in the world that looks like this place and feels like this place. I just love that whatever pace of life you want to live, you can kind of do it here. As a kid, I was always drawing, pretty much. Like, that's what I did. I grew up on a farm, and I spent most of my time inside rather than being out fishing or whatever, which is what my brother was always doing. He was always outside, and I was always hanging out, you know, watching weird cartoons and drawing and messing around with any kind of electronics I could find and take apart. I just kind of use whatever I can get a hold of that doesn't really cost anything, you know? I mean, there's so many... Technology is so insane that just the way it moves, you know? Like, people always want the newest thing, so there just ends up being, like, garbage dumps full of, like, completely usable equipment. Yeah, garbage. It's very important. It's been pretty nuts. Like I get emails every day from Tame Impala fans. I got an email from a guy in Taiwan who said that his son was obsessed with the artwork and wanted to know how I made it, and he had been trying to recreate it himself for like weeks. And so of course, like I basically sent the kid like a Photoshop tutorial in the email, and you know, hopefully he'll send me some stuff. So much of what you're seeing, it's really just fields of color, but it's all in the masking, which is how most of the old airbrush stuff was done. It's all just them taping off sections and shapes and filling those in with color, you know? So I started really getting into like masking things in Photoshop, and like for one little object, you know, we'll have like 100 layers. This is the first version of a record cover that I did for Damaged Bug, which is John Dwyer from the OCs. Most of the shapes that I'm making, I am drawing first in Illustrator and then bringing in to Photoshop. So this is kind of what these shapes look like before I add color. And so all of the shading is done in black and white, and then I have everything masked off, so every individual part of this is its own section that I can then apply color to independently. So you can see like how many different pieces just are in this one thing. And even like, you know, if you go in on the blades of grass down here, like each one of those blades of grass is its own piece that gets its own shading and coloring. I've been trying to do a lot more op art stuff where it's just real simple patterns that kind of, you know, vibrate when you look at them. So this was the first version. I did this kind of weird carcass pile with this really nice vegetation stuff coming out of it. And then he kind of wanted something a bit more sci-fi stuff, so I ended up doing this, which incorporated that stuff but has this space background, and put this little, you know, space helmet with some more vegetation growing out of it and this ooze coming out underneath. And then he liked basically just the background from this, so and the ooze, and so we ended up meeting at the end, which is, you can see it's a skull puking goo in outer space. It's just been nice that the record cover stuff has kind of turned into a job in a strange way, where it doesn't feel like a job for sure, because I love doing it. It was freeing in a way for my music, because I realized I didn't have to try and make money making music, which is like making the kind of music I make, which is pretty abstract. You know, unless you're touring all the time, you're not making any money off of it. I don't think about this stuff that much. It's just kind of intuitive. It kind of just comes out. Sometimes I feel like I'm channeling something. I don't really believe in that stuff, but it's like, you know, I just put my hand on a pen and on a piece of paper and things appear.